were just talking about the fact that in an interrogation last week of the Stennis Committee, Senator Goldwater asked some questions about the use of the carrier aircraft from the carrier Essex, with their markings painted out. Which, well, we figure that somebody over there has told them about, that thing on Wednesday morning, and that therefore either Dirksen's going to spring it or Goldwater's going to spring it, and they're going to try to spring it in such a way that it looks like there was U.S. air cover, and that you were wrong and I was wrong in saying there wasn't. Now, the question is, what exactly is it? We're going to get Max Taylor to look up exactly. Are you familiar with what happened on that? Did we paint out the markings?
Yeah, he painted out the markings on the plane.
How many planes?
And I think there were 3 planes.
Yeah.
And they flew air cover for an hour.
Yeah, but didn't see anybody.
Over the beach.
Yeah.
And they were supposed to give air cover to the B-26s that were coming in.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, between all of them, they got the hours mixed up. I think you gave them from 7 to 8 or something.
Yeah.
And they must have thought it was 7, CIA thought it was 7 to 8 Central American time.
Yeah.
So the result was that the B-26s came in an hour late and were all shot down.
Yeah.
Or 2 of them shot down.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the ones that had the Americans.
Yeah.
I think that has been in the paper about the fact that they flew this air cover for an hour.
Is that been in the paper?
I've seen references to it in the paper. I don't know if any formal story's been written on it, but it's been in the paper that they, and it's been in U.S. News and World Report.
Yeah.
That they specifically, I'm almost sure, I've read it someplace in the last couple of months.
Yeah.
About the fact that they flew for that hour.
My guess is it's going to come out. You're just trying to figure out how to get it out. If we could say it's been all printed. Otherwise, Dirksen will announce that the United States plane with their paintings marked out flew over the Bay of Pigs and were only used an hour, and therefore either you were wrong or I was wrong in not using them more, and so on and so forth. So we're trying to think about how to get it.
Well, I think if somebody could look up where it's appeared in the newspapers, do you have that kind of people over there?
I would think that's a rather difficult assignment.
Not really.
It isn't?
No, I mean, just looking to, they have an index, and they got it on the Bay of Pigs, and then they go down Wednesday, and 6 o'clock.
Yeah?
But I'm sure it's been in U.S. News.
It was been in U.S. News.
Yeah. In fact, I think it was in their answer to me. I think they put it in, but I think it was in even before that.
They had an answer to you?
Yeah.
U.S. News did?
Yeah.
What other ways do you have? How would you handle it, the committee? Or?
Well, again, I think probably go back to the fact that the Congress was informed about this.
Was it?
Yeah. Well, I'm sure they were. They told everything else.
Right.
Well, I think it's awfully important if we could get the fact that was out. I mean, there was some mention about it in the newspaper some time ago, and we could document that.
Okay, I'll see what we can find out.
All right. Hello, Jack. The thing, of course, to remember on this, I don't know how much we're going to get into it, but the thing to remember on this is this, what you did on that day, Tuesday, for Wednesday, was something that was added to the plan.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And not something that was taken away or was in a plan that was made inadequate by some deficiency and withdrawal of something.
Yeah, that's right.
That you added that on Tuesday.
Yeah.
It's never been planned before, and this plan specifically said that this wouldn't be done.
Yeah.
It was something that you added in order to help.
You heard about...
but, if somebody's going to say something in the Senate about it...
Yeah, well, you know how they make everything look lousy these days. You know, Roland Evans said that he talked to Dirksen. Dirksen said, I don't quite get this. He said, wait, can you... Go by. What? But, just say, I don't know. I think the Kennedys are planning something. They're thinking to trap us into this. Because they're pretty smart down there.
Oh, we haven't figured out how to close the trap.
Yeah, that's right. We haven't quite figured out.
But we'll learn it.
But it just shows you, boy, what that press is, doesn't it?
Yeah, but God, still the poll.
What?
Were you down to 70%?
When?
What?
When was this?
The Gallup poll.
When was that?
Oh, about 2 days ago.
Oh, I didn't see it.
Yeah. It went 76% to 70.
Yeah.
But your popularity is 70% now.
Yeah.
You'd break 50-50 with the Republicans.
What?
70%, 18% are against you.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't care what the press must be doing you some good.
Well, what? And then you'd break 50-50?
You do 50-50 with the Republicans.
Oh, you mean approval and disapproval?
Yeah. And then the independents.
Yeah, I didn't see that post. Was this in the Post?
I don't know what paper. I read it going up on the plane Wednesday or Thursday. You think you got trouble? You ought to see what's happening in Nelson Rockefeller.
Why?
Well, in all the bars, they call every drink a Nelson cocktail, a Rockefeller cocktail. Everything the same except it's 15% more.
Do they really?
Oh, and you walk along the streets and out in the front.
Yeah.
It says come in and buy a Rockefeller cocktail. Everything costs 15% more. In every bar. How would you like that? Following you around.
Yeah, but he's lucky those papers aren't public.
Well, and did you see the story about him in
Wall Street Journal? Yeah.
That's not a complete plus.
Yeah.
I think he's really having his problems. Troubles. You're not. You can go on television.
We've dropped 6% in a month, have we?
Well, since January.
Boy, since that Congress comes back.
Yeah, and it gets a little bit more partisan, but imagine 70%. It's better than you were in 60.
Okay. Hello?
Jack?
Yeah.
Oh, Ed Guthrie went to a party the other night. Talking to Doris Gleason.
Yeah.
Who's evidently very bitter.
Yeah.
You know, as she always usually is. But I don't know whether like some attention paid to her or somebody looked at her or something.
Yeah. What's she bitter about?
Hey, she's just mad generally. You know the way she gets. The way she gets.
We have Republicans there, and she doesn't like McCone, and she's... What is it particularly?
Well, he didn't... she just seemed mad generally, but I don't know whether... she seems always somebody that if somebody gave her a little attention occasionally, then maybe she'd come around a bit.
Yeah, it was pretty difficult.
Is that...
Well, she's, just a waspish woman, and she's always mad at something. She's mad at the Republicans because we have the Republicans who are not fighting hard enough for, I don't know, civil rights or some goddamn thing, whatever it may be. She's always sore. I don't have any contact with her.
Yeah.
And,
well, anyway, you might give it a mind if something comes up.
You never see her, do you?
Well, I don't know. Maybe I'll try to see her, but she is such a bitter bitch.
Yeah, she's around yelling all the time. Somebody, we hear a rumor that John McCone's going to quit sometime at a time when it suits him. You hear that?
Childs, you know what Marcus Childs said? Ed Guthrie.
Yeah, they told Ed that what?
Said that they're really pouring that stuff out of CIA against the administration.
CIA is?
Yeah. Did you see his article today?
Yeah. Well, that was obviously based on what John told him.
John McCone wants to look good in that thing.
Yeah, but I didn't think he looked great.
No, that's what he said. I wrote that story in order to make sure that the record was clear of what they're doing.
What, that they're putting it out?
Yeah.
Yeah, but of course he put it that he was only sending it into the
CIA.
CIA, but he says CIA is pouring it out?
Yeah. And I think he specified that on behalf of John McCone.
And McCone was right?
Well, that John McCone, that they're trying to make themselves look good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what he said. This is where it's coming from, he said.
Yeah. He's a real bastard, that John McCone. But however, they got him. Do you have any...
No, he was useful at a time.
Yeah, that's why it's really evaporated. But he's making stuff so... Of course, everybody's on to him now. That's the trouble. He's stupid himself. Everybody's saying he's a horse's ass. But I mean, that 1,500 terrorists and guerrillas that are being trained over there isn't quite the way it was. They got 1,500 students, but how many of them are being trained as terrorists and guerrillas? How many have been picked up is another good question. They don't never have anything very precise.
Yeah.
Shall
I give you another problem?
Yeah.
This TFX. Yeah. Somebody watching that? Or that whole contract, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Well, because the newspaper men think that there's something there now.
Whatever, not that we know. What do they think is there?
Well, they think it's the money that went on. But I just think that somebody better...
Well, you know what went on? Nobody wanted to go to Topeka, Kansas. That's all that went on.
But I think we'll make sure somebody's looking at it.
Yeah.
At the hearings and everything.
All right, but yeah, I don't think, I think this is your friend John McClellan.
Yeah.
But actually nothing went on, so that's why they're never going to find anything. I know what went on. Nothing. Because of Topeka, Kansas. That's where the contract would have gone, That was the ultimate.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I remember the discussion.
Yeah, well, that was the whole thing.
Yeah.
But, let's see, there's that and Doris, and what was the other matter?
Oh, which is John McCone.
Yeah, but I don't know what we can do about old John.
Except I suppose if somebody could get the message to him that they're
I
all...
thought that you could say that the press is saying that they're pouring out a lot of stuff to try to make, either the CIA or McCone look good at the expense of the administration. There's a lot of talk about it on the Hill and everything. I'd like to have John know about that. So maybe he didn't decide it wasn't so wise.
Yeah.
You're not going to be seeing him, are you?
Yeah, I'm going to see him Wednesday. He's coming to the house for dinner.
Well, he's going up tomorrow to testify. Well, you might give it to him Tuesday night.
Better, though, hasn't he, on his testimony?
I guess he has, though the word, that thing, I don't know where Mark Childs got that thing, Did he get it from McCone?
McCone, that's what he implied to Ed Gusman.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's not, giving the dates when he sent the messages and everything, because he never sent the message to anyone. Why didn't he come back from his honeymoon?
Well, I know that.
Huh?
I mean, I understand that.
Well, I think that's the only thing that, he isn't going to...
Yeah, I don't think Marcus Childs was too impressed.
Yeah.
I mean, the way he talked, he just said that that's where this stuff's coming from, and they're sticking it to you, the administration. So he just wanted to tell us that that's going on.
What?
I spoke to you the other day about this transportation problem.
Yeah.
Well, we have another one now, the B&O-C&O railroad merger. The unions are very strong for us entering this case and entering it actively. It went before the board, now it's before the courts, and they want us to try to get it, bring in and ask that it be sent back before the board.
Yeah.
The companies, on the other hand, are very anxious to go ahead with the merger.
Yeah.
From our examination of the facts here, we find that nobody really in government has ever examined to determine whether this is a good merger or a bad merger. And it's been before the government really for a year and a half now.
What does Dan Martin's group say?
Well, they don't know.
Yeah.
And Mike, we talked to Mike Feldman. He admits that nobody knows. But we don't know what effect this merger is going to have on future mergers. And so we're really shooting in the dark, and it hasn't. The unions feel very strongly about it, and then, of course, business feels very strongly on the other side about it. So no matter what we do, it's going to have an effect on one group or another. And what we're doing is we're.
So what do you suggest?
I think that if we could get urge once again, if we could get somebody in there.
Well, I can't do anything about Dan Martin just now because we got a whole transportation bill up there in front of Magnuson and everything, and Magnuson's got Magnuson's Martin sponsor, so I can't move him out right now.
Can we get somebody at the White House that could be assigned to that responsibility, do nothing but mergers?
If you could suggest anybody, I'll be glad to take them on. I'll see if I can find somebody. Feldman's supposed to be looking around for somebody. And just look at mergers. If you've got a name over there, some bright fellow who's got some sense, I'll be glad to take him on.
Okie dokie.
Okay?
Right on.
Yeah, and we're going to reconsider it, and we want to restudy the contract and all that crap.
I don't know how they...
I know, and I think probably a lot of that stuff comes out of McClellan or out of that goddamn staff up there. And that he's acknowledged the right of the Senate to review the contract. Some crappy stuff.
But I just I just figured that we'd just go ahead. I was just talking to Senator McNamara, and everybody says McNamara's right, so
yeah,
I think we'd let Jerry Andelman proceed.
Well, I think that's clear.
Yeah. How's is McNamara?
Well, I think he's fine. I think he's fine. He's so mad.
Well, John's a real bastard, isn't he, with his mealy-mouthing? Who do you think he spoke to after...
Well, I think he spoke to Scoop.
And Scoop
because
said...
you see, the other... who would be the other Democrat? Sam Irwin.
Yeah.
Sam Irwin. I talked to Paul. And then Scoop must have said... he doesn't pay that much attention to Jerry Adelman.
Yeah.
Scoop must have said, we can't take this, and this is a review by themselves, so we won't do that.
Yeah.
So then he gets in, and then we come see him, and he gets these questions.
Yeah.
Well, and they say, well, why ask the questions? That'll prove you're on their side. This is what I imagine.
Yeah.
And then you're so you see he's got the foot in both camps. I take the questions, then he doesn't ask them, and then so that nobody up there is going to criticize. Now he's going to be delegating around the Senate. I have all this pressure from all sides. I'm just trying to be fair, and I have made up my mind, and I have the pressure from one side. And
but I just want to wait and then just let that dinosaur go right down the hopper. Scare old
I hope you are, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, I'm sure going to talk to somebody about that. Scoop. Right.
They've been real bastards.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
Jack.
Yeah.
I just talked to John McCone, and we got the thing down pretty much where at least the ammunition, etc. These guys were very original. But they got the ammunition here in Alexandria.
Virginia?
Yeah. And then they got a small boat, put two outboards in the back, went 55 miles an hour.
55 miles an hour?
Yeah. And then they got a little smaller boat. Their boat was about to take us 25, 26. And then they got a little smaller boat, put a small outboard on it, filled it with explosives, and ran up alongside the ship and started the outboard motor and ran it into the ship.
And where'd they jump off?
Well, either that or they ran it off, see, from their own little bigger boat. There are 5 of them.
Yeah.
So they had some guts. But I spoke to them
Did
about...
they blow the boat up?
Yeah, well, I guess either that... I think they might have sunk it.
Yeah.
I spoke to him about prosecuting these fellows.
Yeah.
And I guess it's quite clear they violated the law.
Yeah.
And he said he got a call from Dick Russell yesterday. He was sore as hell. Said, I hope nobody's planning to take any action against these people. Because he said, you people launched an invasion back in 1961. It wasn't successful. Now these people are doing something and it is successful. And what are you trying to do?
That's typical of him, isn't it?
Yeah. So at least you know that side of it.
Yeah, but one's against Cuba. I don't mind if they blow up some Cuban ships, but
Yeah,
they blow up
or
a Russian ship.
Yeah, or went into Cuba and caused some...
Yeah.
But not to come back and keep saying about the fact that it comes from the United States. You know, or that their plans originate in the United States.
Is that what they announced?
Well, that's what, they have the press conference and all the rest of it.
They have another one? They have another
No,
one?
but the first group.
The first one.
And then they publicize it, and, everybody knows about this. I think there are 2 things. First, that in fact it's against Russians. And the second thing, that they give it such wide publicity that they're doing it.
Yeah. At the time. But isn't that typical of Russell? What did John McCone say?
But he said, I don't know what he said to him. He was a little... but he agreed that they weren't doing any good anyway. So. But anyway, I'll let you know later on today.
What would be, you hate to prosecute these fellas, but I
don't
just want to make it goddamn sure that they don't do it anymore.
But I don't see how you can do it. Make sure.
Unless you do?
Yeah. Hell, I don't see how you can do it. I mean, this happened a week after the last time we said that. We made it quite clear to the other people.
Is this a different group?
Yeah, it's a rival group.
Oh, it's a rival group.
Yeah.
Yeah. They ought to just stay out of the United States, shouldn't they? What will you arrest them for?
I think it's the Logan Act.
Yeah. Maybe you could wait about 3 days before you
Well,
do
in
it.
any case, I'll talk to you first, but
But we ought to have John McComb brief, so if anybody speaks, because they'll all be talking to him, and John ought to endorse our course of action. I mean, I don't want him saying, yeah, well, I didn't want to do
Well, then
it.
I think that, you see, the Cottrell Committee had a meeting on this, and I just found out about it last night, what they should do, and I don't think it ever came out very clearly.
Yeah.
So it might be that you'd want to bring 4 or 5 people involved together and just...
McCone and you and the Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense.
Yeah. Now, I got a call from Secretary of State last night, and he said, I hope you prosecute them.
Yeah.
So I think everybody should get their views over.
Right on.
Okay.
Hello?
Oh, Jack?
Yeah, how'd you think Newsweek was to you?
Oh, well, I thought it was all right. They didn't say anything very new, did they?
No, but I thought it was fine. I thought it was
Did
good.
you?
Especially if you read Time magazine. Have you read them yet?
Yeah, God, that's mean.
Yeah.
Is
I
that-
saw Harry Luce today.
Had you seen Time at the time you saw him?
Yeah.
Did you say anything?
Oh, I gave it to him for 45 minutes. He says, well, I've been out in Phoenix. Doesn't seem that bad to me. I said, well, listen, it's bad to me.
I thought they were bastards. They really went out of their way on that damn thing, didn't they?
But isn't that peculiar? That you see, it shows that he's really losing his grip. He's in to see me, to ask me to come up to that dinner,
Yeah.
And he's coming in the morning. He comes in. You'd think they'd at least give me... If you'd given me a soft soap, it would have been much more difficult.
What did you say to him?
Well, I left it with him in the morning, sort of, let's get a few good ones out of you. But then I decided, I said, I'll let you know later if I can come. But I just thought I don't want to leave it in doubt, because he will write a couple of good ones. And then I'd have to go, and I think for the Newsweek and Graham and everybody would think that was And in addition, I think probably for me to be up there for Time after what has obviously been, would really look like a...
And we wrote out the mistakes they made on, just on the one thing, which was on the Cuban prisoners, and just incredible. I mean, how many... They just don't even make an effort, do they?
No, it's, it's a real... I mean, they're just mean as hell up there, but I don't think he registers on it or something.
He doesn't
I don't think he registers on it. No, they're awfully fair. They were good in the campaign, and that was because Furtbringer's the real. He's the son of a bitch up there. And he was out in the campaign. They're pretty good. So, I mean, I don't think Luce is hostile. I think he just, he hasn't got any sensitivity. He doesn't probably like the thing much anyway, but he hasn't got any sensitivity. He didn't seem to think this was bad, even though there were 5 letters to the editor that all stuck. So anyway, I thought I'd just write him
Was he
and tell him
jolly?
I didn't think I'd go.
Was he jolly?
Oh, yeah, he's very agreeable, very pleasant.
What I called you about is this damn school construction.
Yeah?
You know, for these schools down and these bases.
Yeah.
Had you wanted the schools to be put up?
No, I haven't really given this matter any thought at all. I just...
Well, they understood over at HEW. You know, Riverkoff announced it last March,
Yeah.
and as I understood it, you weren't
That's right.
exactly happy about that.
Well, I didn't know what... That's right.
And then they, and it's quite ridiculous actually, but then they announced back in January, because they understood from Ted Sargent you wanted to announce, but they were going to put 2 more schools out, and they've announced 6. But for instance, Fort McClellan, they're going to erect a school for, well no, here's one, Fort Rucker. Grades 1 to 6, 892 on-base children, a total of 14 Negro children, and the estimated cost is $742,000.
Just because of the 14?
Yeah, Fort Stewart's 23 children, it's $297,000.
Yeah.
Robbins Air Force Base is 8 Negro children, $594,000. Fort Jackson, 18 children, $234,000.
Fort Jackson, where's Fort Jackson?
Jackson, South Carolina. Myrtle Beach Air Force.
What is your suggestion?
Well, and then they're going to put 2 more, so it's 8. It's going to cost about $3 million. We've got a court case, you see, at the present time.
Yeah.
And which probably won't be resolved for another year, or a year and maybe 2 years before it perhaps goes to the Supreme Court, which will resolve all of these matters. What they will do by spending for these 8 places, they'll spend about $3 million, and they'll get maybe an extra year for about 50 or 60 children in Negro children. Well, they've been going all this long period of time. Just seems like a hell of a lot of money. Now,
well, the problem is a political problem, I suppose, isn't it?
yeah, having made the announcement.
Yeah. Because, you know, it was Roy Wilkins criticized the way HEW did it.
Well, now, can we see what...
What we should have done is just left it with the
That's right.
legal case. I don't know how we got beyond that.
Well, that was a mistake,
Yeah.
which was made at the end of January. But I've told them over there that make sure we have coordination on these damn things. Can we leave it if you don't have any strong feeling about it?
I want to talk to Ted Sorensen because he's been working on it.
All right.
Let's find out, because he may know some of the problems that I don't know on it.
Well, what I'd like to do is to see if I could work something out, and which will be satisfactory to everybody. Maybe it's not possible, but they...
Or maybe...
Celebrezzi thought that you had been personally interested, so I wanted...
No, I'm not. I don't care. It's just really a question of trying to deal with a political problem.
Well, whatever we do, we'll talk to Ted first.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
I'll talk, right.
Lee Levenger,
Yeah.
the Antitrust Division,
Yeah.
and we talked about putting him over in the FCC as a
Yeah.
member, and then maybe bringing Bill Orrick back and making him head of the Antitrust Division.
Okay.
Is that all right?
Fine. There's a vacancy, is there?
In the FCC.
You mean when our friend Newt leaves?
Yeah.
I see. I don't know exactly. Do you know when Newt Minnow's going to leave? In other words, you're ready to go anytime. I'll have Kenny find out when Newt's going to leave.
All right.
Okay.
Now, hello.
Then we'll go ahead with Henry as the chairman.
Yeah.
Right.
And one other thing. I've had some conversations the last couple of weeks with a fellow by the name of Mundelein, who's from Mozambique.
Yeah.
And he's the fellow that's leading the efforts to make Mozambique independent. He's a terrifically impressive fellow. And
That's Portuguese.
yeah.
Yeah.
Some of his people have gotten, he's the head of it, but some of his people have gotten some aid and assistance from Czechoslovakia and Poland. He needs help from the United States for 2 reasons. Number one, so that he can indicate to them that there are people in the West, at least, that are sympathetic to his efforts. And number 2, just to keep him going. The figure that he's mentioned, that he'll need for a year, is quite reasonable. First, he needs $50,000 for his own operation, and then he needs $50,000 for to help with the refugees. I think that it's a possibility that they can get the second $50,000 from the Ford Foundation. At least they're working on that. Carl Kazin is. But he'd need at least $50,000 from us. Now, Dean Rusk has felt that he wants to be able to sit down with the Portuguese and say none of these people are getting any money. If he turned this over to somebody like Averell Harriman or John McCone just to use their own judgment, then he wouldn't have to get involved in it or know anything about it. I think it would be damn helpful. Now, we've had discussions on these things for the last week, and Carl Kazin can fill you in on it. But this fellow's going back Wednesday, Mundelein, and he's going to meet with the heads of all these African nations at this meeting, I guess, next week.
We wouldn't want him to be saying he got anything from
No, but you wouldn't have that, you see. You'd have it through some private foundation.
Yeah.
They could have cutouts on
I
it,
see.
and then John McCone can handle it, so it wouldn't come from the agency.
Well, now, what does it depend on? You think we ought to give it?
Yes.
Okay, well, then what do we do to give it?
Well, maybe if you talk to Carl Kazin about how it should be handled, because it should be handled so that Dean Rusk is happy, and Abel Harriman feels very strongly it should be given.
Okay.
But I think if it could be handled so that maybe you could explain to Dean Rusk he doesn't have to know about it directly.
Should we tell Dean Rusk?
Well, Carl Kazan's got all the facts on it, and he'll have a suggestion as to how it should be handled.
Now, do you know what time those troops got there, according to my information?
Isn't that terrible?
11:19.
Yeah, and not all of them.
Not all of them.
Well, he told me Nick said that 5 planes were still in the air at 11:30.
Well, when I called them at 1, they said the first units got there 11:19. But I mean, how? And I got notes here, which says it was going to get there at 7:30.
Yeah, that's terrible. And the fellow, and then saying that they were in the air at the time I talked to them. I don't know how you could screw it up like that.
Well, I thought I'd write a memorandum to McNamara about it and ask what time and everything, and then say, did they get in when they said they were going to, etc.
Because if they have it happen this time,
Yeah.
that was last
Yeah.
time. It's
Okay.
shocking.
I'm going to write a memo on. Okay.